What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I hope you like this video. This is Marrying Millions, Season 3, Episode 9. So, we start off with Dani and Donovan. Remember, he wanted to take her away on vacation. So, they're in Antigua. They're renting this beautiful, villa on the side of a rock. It's like $1,500 a night. And of course, she's happy to be there. And she's like, oh my goodness, normally I plan the trip. He just finances them. So it's really nice to see that he's put this much thought, effort, and work into, us getting away. Things have kind of been really rocky lately. And, excuse me, it means a lot that he's putting this much of an effort into it. And so they're there. They're enjoying everything. But the elephant in the room is this prenup. He wants to just forget about it and move past it. She's like, we need to come to some sort of resolve because it's not really going away. Like, I feel the way I feel about it, but we really need to talk about it and come to some sort of conclusion. So she talks to her sister about it. He talks to his dad, and her sister was like, girl, like, you need to get to some sort of answer. Like, you need to figure out what's going to work for y'all. And she was like, she went to talk to him about it, and he was like, are we really going to talk about this again? And she was like, yeah, we kind of do. She was like, no, I don't want to damper what's going on here. I don't want to damper the relationship, but, damper our vacation. But, yeah, we do. We really need to talk about this. So he's talking to his dad, and he plans to propose, and he told his dad, look, I love her. She's the one. He said, I've known her since high school. I have always seen my future with her in it, and I love her. Like, this is what I want. And so he sets up this beautiful proposal. It's really, really nice. He gets down on one knee at sunset, candles all around. And she says yes, and in their confessional later on, she said she's going to sign the prenup. She said, I just needed him. Like, it was the approach and the way it made me feel. She said, but at the end of the day, I understand why he wanted one. And I'm going to sign it. Like, I'm cool with signing it. So, Reese and Noni. So, Reese and Noni, I've gone back and forth with Reese and Noni all season. Ultimately, I do think I like them, and I like Reese. They decided to move outside of the city, so she's selling her house that's in the city, the one that he moved into. They're renting out a lake house, so they're on the lake. They're sort of in nature, which is cool for him, and they're close enough to the city that she can get back and forth to work, which is cool for her. So it's a nice little compromise. And then they were talking about basically his future, and I was a little torn with this conversation because on one hand, I was like, do you love Reese for who he is or respect who he is, or do you want to change him and turn him into a corporate guy? Because it sort of was coming off like that at first, and he was sort of a little resistant at first. He's an arborist, which is, a fancy name for someone who cuts down trees, and he was like, hey, out here, there's plenty of work, he said, I really need to figure out a way that maybe I can manifest that into a business, and, it's something I love to do, and maybe I can turn it into a business. And she was like, hey, do you want to talk to my investor? He might be able to give you some tips, give you a good direction, let you figure it out, go left, go right, stay center. And he seemed a little resistant, and then he was like, well, maybe I could talk to somebody about it, because I guess it's time for me to grow up. And when he said it, then I was cool, because I was like, even though I agreed that it was time for him to grow up, but I just get really leery when you meet somebody and they are a certain way and this is who they are, and you say you're okay with it, and then I feel like you're trying to change it. But I feel like that was a happy medium where she does love him and she accepts him, but it's also like, but at a certain point, you do have to sort of grow up. You do have to sort of figure out what your next move is. So later on in the episode, she bought him these clothes for him to wear. And again, I'm like, all right, are you turning him into somebody he's not? But the flip side is you have to dress appropriate for the occasion. You're going to go meet a millionaire about, like, you do need to respect and show up. Because he was like, listen, I got this hoodie. It has no holes in it. It's brand new. I got this t-shirt. It's clean. So for him, that was stepping up. You know what I'm saying? That was like putting his best foot forward for him. So she got her stylist to get him a suit, a jacket. She didn't make him wear a tie. She made him put his hair back in like she did like a little French bun. And he was really uncomfortable. You could tell he was uncomfortable. He felt uncomfortable. He looked like he was uncomfortable. But he went to the meeting, and in the beginning of the meeting, he really had no clue. I mean, he was really like a deer in the headlights. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But by the middle end of and the guy even told him, he said, you didn't have to dress up. Like, this was just a conversation. You could have shown up, as you were. It was cool. So I think that helped, that sort of made him feel a little more at ease. And then they just he was talking about, he said, listen, me and my wife, he said, every couple of years we look for arborists. And he said, we have a hard time finding somebody. He said, so there's definitely a market that, if you get the right clientele, you become, you're consistent and you're good at what you do. He said, there's definitely a market if that's what you want to do. And, Reese was saying how, he finds stuff that he likes. He does it for a little while, then he moves on to something else. And he was like, yeah, that's a problem. Like, you're going to have to figure out what you like and you're going to have to stick to it, And, but it was a good conversation. And Reese walked away, I think, with some ideas. I mean, I don't think anything's going to change overnight. But I feel like if Noni, she's willing to do everything else she's done for him. I feel like if she's willing to back his business venture, make sure you get the right paperwork signed as far as, percentages and profits and all of that stuff. I think it would be a good idea to invest in him. I mean, you've already invested in him in something that's not going to really give you any return. I mean, outside of the relationship, But I mean, go on and invest in his business, girl. Go for it, Noni. I think it's a good idea. Erica and Frank. Listen. He's still in Florida. He wants her to come home. He misses her. He loves her. He still wants to marry her. He's like, listen, let's get past this. Let's figure it out. What is it that you need? And she is whiny because she is just like, I mean, I just can't believe you talk to me like that. Like, how dare you speak to me like that? He was like, what are you talking about? He said, you were literally calling off the wedding. Yes, I was pissed off. Yes, I was upset. Okay, I yelled at you. She was like, yeah, but, I mean, that's no excuse for you to talk to me the way you talk to me. Now, unless they edited a whole lot out, I don't really feel like he was that mean. Like, I feel like, actually, you got off pretty easy. I mean, other than him telling you to get the fuck out. But other than that, I mean, what did you expect from this man? Like, he was literally getting dressed for the wedding. He had done everything you wanted him to do to try to make you feel comfortable and to try to make this an okay situation for you and your family. He moved it to Illinois. Flew all his friends and family into Illinois instead of having it in Miami where both of y'all live. And you literally decide to call off the wedding. So, I don't mean any harm, but I think he did pretty good. And for her to make it seem like he had done this horrible thing and like, girl, what you want from him? And, later on we see her talking to her grandmother. Her grandmother was like, listen, I wasn't happy about this whole situation. I wasn't happy about y'all getting married. I wasn't cool with it. But at the end of the day, if that's what you wanted, then I was going to support that. But you got to figure out if this is what you really want. Because, the rest of us don't really matter, but we do matter. She was like, because she said to Rick, it was Rick. I said Frank, Rick. I mean, so you wanted me to just, not care about what my family thought. And he was like, no. And again, that's an age thing. Because you get to a certain point in life where you don't care. Like, you love your family, you respect your family, and you want your family to love you. But it gets to a point where you don't really care. You don't really need anybody's approval or don't really need anybody's permission. And that's sort of where, Rick is. Rick is 60 years old. Like, he don't give a fuck. It's the same thing with Noni and Reese. Like, Noni was like, listen, I want your family to be okay with this, but at the end of the day, this ain't got nothing to do with your family. It's us. And so that's where it is. And so I don't know. I don't see that working out because she gonna always be on this kick. And her daddy ain't changing his mind. Especially since he feel like he won the first time by throwing a tantrum. So why would he do anything different this time? Anyway. Child, Rodney and Desiree. Listen, I'm so sick of Rodney and Desiree because this whole storyline is just so ridiculous to me. But all right, let's talk about it. So after the counseling session, Desiree is still in town. Rodney then gave her ring back, so I guess they engaged again, child. So they had a conversation about his mom and the fact that the counselor said, hey, your mom is the elephant in the room, and y'all really need to, resolve that situation. And of course, Rodney was like, "This is about me and you. This don't have nothing to do with my mom." And she was like, "But it does. Like, Rodney, come on. Everything goes back to my mom. When me and you have an argument, it's, well, my mom said this. When me and you have a conversation, it's my mom said this. You wasn't thinking about no prenup until your mom said, get a prenup." She said, "I really would like to get to know your mom better. Like, can you please set something up where maybe me and your mom can go shopping, or we can spend some time together, because I really, really want to talk to her again and try to make another impression." And Rodney was like, "I don't know, because the first time it just ain't go too well. I don't know how that's going to work out." He said, "But I'll think about it." So he goes to see his mom. And what we find out is his mother is so insistent on a prenup because she's an investor in his company. And her thing was, listen, the prenup really ain't about Rodney so much as the prenup is about protecting me. Because if y'all, if the two of them get married and something happen, then what happens to my investment if she takes the company from him, or she ends up holding him up in court in some sort of litigation? And so then she was like, "Rodney, I don't understand why you got to keep all these secrets. Why you got to keep all these secrets?" And of course, we back on this whole Rodney keeping secrets thing. Like, we know what y'all keep alluding to. We know what the inside joke is about Rodney and his secrets. Okay. Anyway, so then, so the mama agrees. She said, "If Rodney want me to go out to go shopping with this girl, like, I'll do it for Rodney. I'll do it for him." And so they end up going out shopping, and they actually sort of come to a happy medium. She was like, "Listen, if you ever need to know anything or want to know what I said, then you can call me. You don't need to call Rodney. If you feel like I said something out of line, or you feel like it was a problem, then you can call me. We don't need to have Rodney as our middleman. If we're going to be building our own friendship, our relationship," well, she didn't say friendship, "our own relationship, then we can figure out a way. We don't have to put Rodney in the middle." Then the mama told her about the fact that she's an investor in the company. And so, of course, Desiree was like, "Okay, well, this makes a lot more sense now. Like, I understand where you're coming from. I understand your concern." And, again, they started talking about Rodney and his secrets. So, at the end of the day, next thing you know, Desiree, they get to shop. After they had that conversation, she was like, "All right, well, let's get to shopping. Let's see what we like." And, of course, they have very different styles. And the mama saw something, and Desiree was like, "Well, if you like it, you can." She said, "Well, I like it, but I think I like this color better." And she was like, "Well, you can get both colors. I mean, I got Rodney's black card." And the mama was like, "You got what?" She was like, "Yeah, I got Rodney's black card. I mean, there's really no limit on that card, so whatever you want, we can get whatever we want." She was like, "So on top of paying all your bills, you got one of Rodney's credit cards that don't have a limit on it?" She was like, "Yeah, but I don't abuse it. I mean, unless I'm mad at him." Girl, what is wrong with you? You just don't know what the hell to say out your mouth and when to say it out your mouth. Girl, if you don't go sit down somewhere, so the only time you abuse it is when you're mad at him. That's all the more reason to not act a fool. So, of course, now they were making some sort of headway. Mama was feeling, they was coming to some sort of agreement. And then Mama was like, skirt, rewind, put this car in reverse. I got a problem with that. And I'm going to talk to Rodney about that, because I have a problem with the fact that you have Rodney's credit card. And I don't think that's okay. And I'm going to talk to Rodney about getting that car back from you. Desiree was like, "Well, what? You going to talk to Rodney about doing what?" Anyway, that was pretty much the episode, honey. I think next week is the season finale. The first 2 seasons had 10 episodes, and this feels like we're sort of winding down on some things. So, y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop it in the comments. Peace.